One of the men I admire most, the person probably running the most successful and the largest mid-market management company in the industry. We'd like to welcome Ajay Bakaya, sir. Which was the first hotel of Sarovar?
And of the current ones, Marine Plaza in Bombay was the first hotel.
What's the ADR of the hotel now, sir, if I may ask?
Today around 11,000.
Whether it's Mr. Adil, Shiv was heading our company. Today we have Alam, who worked with you for almost 17.
So fish starts stinking from the head. Make sure we keep our head clean and let people say what they have to say.
Would you say Mr. Madhok was your mentor?
Yes, absolutely.
Any learnings from your time at Oberoi which you would like to share? Any anecdotes?
I think big learnings from Rai Bahadur.
Out of your portfolio, sir, how is it structured in terms of brands?
We have Sarovar Premier, Sarovar Portico and Home Tellers. We have Golden Tulip and Royal Tulip above that and Tulip Inn and Tulip Residences.
How would you want people to remember you?
You know, I saw an interview of Lee Kuan Yew.
What kind of technology do you use to make sure that it's working efficiently?
We have a CRS system.
Where do we see Sarovar in 2029?
300 hotels, 20,000 rooms.
Where do you see yourself after 5 years? So can we know a little bit more about your childhood and why you got into hospitality?
Hospitality was an accident. I come from a middle income or a low income family. I grew up in Shimla with a single mother, and I finished my schooling. I wanted to join the army, but my folks wouldn't let me. So I started work after college in Delhi University as a medical representative. Did that for a couple of years. Came across a full-page ad of Oberoi Hotels looking for management trainees when I was sitting in Jalandhar. And that's how hotels happened. So I never planned it. I think I'm extremely fortunate to have started off. And it's now been over 46 years in the business and I've enjoyed pretty much every single day.
Amazing. So can you tell us a little bit about how Sarovar started, your journey with Mr. Madhok, your friendship with him?
Mr. Madhok started Sarovar. He was the senior most person in Oberoi Hotels after family, and at that stage he felt he wanted to do something on his own. He left. He went to Dubai for a couple of years, set up a project there, and then came back to India and started Sarovar Hotels. So that was his baby. I had moved from India to Australia, lived there for 4 years, and then had moved from Australia to Holland. Briefly giving up a hotel career and looking at selling shoes and shirts in the chain store market in Europe. And that venture failed. We didn't have enough time or enough money to put it through. So I called Mr. Madhok, and he remembers he had 1 foot out of the door. He was going out for lunch. And the secretary said to him, "Some Ajay Bakaya calling for you." And that's how things fell in place. So I came to India and Sarovar after a 4-year stint in Australia and a year plus in Holland. And it was challenging, it was tough, but we were very clear in our heads that something good is going to emerge out of it.
So when did you first meet him?
Oh, he was my boss in the Oberois. When I was a GM in Hyderabad, he was the VP based out of Bombay. And he pushed me into a GM position from a number 2 in Bombay when I was all of 31 in the Oberoi.
So can you tell us some anecdotes or something you've learned from him?
I could carry on for days and days and days, but I think if I was to crystallize it all, very clearly, straight shooting. If things go wrong, say they've gone wrong, and never be afraid to call a spade a spade. Be direct. I think on the human handling side, or perhaps on the protocol side, I have Kashmiri blood, so I'm a little bit more of a statesman. But essentially, we worked on the fact that be sincere, be direct, and always lead from the front.
That's amazing, sir. So can you give us an instance where you used these traits in a tough situation while running Sarovar?
In the very early days, I think we only had 2 or 3 hotels at that time, maybe 2, and we had a property in Agra, Park Plaza was the denomination at that time. And the owners are not happy because things had just not gone well with the Agra market since we took over. And their expectations were high, and they were hurting and they were suffering. So 2 hotels in the kitty, and we sat in the lobby of a hotel in Delhi. And the owner said, again and again, things are not happening. And he was getting a little bit agitated, justifiably so. He was hurting. And Mr. Madhok said to him, there's no need for us to be unpleasant. The situation may be unpleasant, but we don't have to be unpleasant with each other. What do you want? And he said, I think we should shake hands. So Mr. Madhok said to him, okay, then let's shake hands. Now, 2 hotels and one owner saying shake hands, me saying yes to it. That needs a lot of courage. It needs a lot of conviction in what you're saying. And then the owner just sort of backed off and said, no, that's not what exactly I meant. So those are special moments. You had a company where you were still digging into your pockets to pay salaries. We have never in our history had a single day's delay in paying salaries, ever. And in the earlier days, there were cash flow negatives. So the promoters had to put in the money to keep things going. In that situation, to be able to handle that way and say, fine, if that's how you feel, it's okay. I think that's special.
It's extremely courageous. So which was the first hotel of Sarovar?
So I'd rather talk about the hotels that are currently in the system. And of the current ones, Marine Plaza in Bombay was the first hotel. And Marine Plaza in Bombay actually kept us going as a company for the first 5 years. With the fees from there paid for our whole setup to survive.
How was the deal done?
If I remember correctly, and this goes back to, again, 1996 when we opened the hotel, the owner said, look, if we do this ourselves, we think we can get a rate of 2,000 rupees. If you guys can get us 22, we're okay, then your fees are paid for. And of course, we did much, much, much better. And from 96 to now, so 28, 29 years down the line, we're still managing the hotel. We have a wonderful relationship with the owners, both professional and personal.
What's the ADR of the hotel now, sir, if I may ask?
Today, around 11,000.
That's quite a journey.
It's a great hotel. It's located bang on Marine Drive on the water. And it's run extremely well.
So another question which I had was, you had a journey of 3 decades at Sarovar, almost?
Almost. I'm finishing 29 years now, yeah.
That's amazing. And just wanted to understand that what was the toughest moment in these 3 decades? Was there a moment where you thought that the survival of the company is at stake? Because it's happened with us multiple times. And how did you overcome that?
I think several challenges through the years, but I wouldn't call them tough moments. I mean, we were prepared for challenges to come. And in any business, you're going to have challenges. A lot of the time people meet you and they say to you, is everything well? And I say to them, everything's never well. And that's why we guys are there in the business. But I think COVID was a tough time, probably, when things were pretty much falling apart. And you knew you were going to get out of it at some stage, but you didn't know when. So whether it's going to be 3 months or 3 years, nobody really knew. So that was a tough spot. How did we handle it? It's not a time when you can invest, because you really have to wait and watch and see how things happen. We were the first ones to propose salary cuts. We'd never waited. After about 15, 20 days of COVID, we didn't say, let's wait 3 months and 6 months and see how things go. We said, okay, it's tough. Let's do what we have to do. We were at the top. We took the largest salary cuts. Everyone took salary cuts. We didn't fire a single person at the corporate level. And we trained and we planned for the future.
That's commendable, because not having laid off people at the corporate level, because I'm sure at the units, the challenges
people had to go.
Yeah,
could not sustain it.
The challenges were way different at that point of time. So, any moment in your life which you'd like to share, which was as tough as COVID, and how the most difficult time and how you overcame it?
I never look at life that way. My approach to life is extremely positive. There are days when you're down and out and things are not going as to plan or as you expect them to, but then you sort of get up and go and you say, look, it's a bright new day, let's make the most of it and let something good come out of it. So I'm sure there have been lots of cases where I felt things were not going right or not going to plan, but I don't let that hold me back for anything beyond a day or two. That's part of life.
Any specific instance which was prolonged and you feel that the viewers could learn from? At
28, I went to work in Liberia, West Africa as a general manager. I don't think I was ready for being a GM. In theory, I was. In practice, I learned on the job. It's one of the most difficult countries in the world to learn in, because there's no infrastructure. They never heard of a hotel school. And, you had an engineer who could look at drawings and do things, but he'd never gone he was not a qualified engineer. He was a great mechanic. And I carried Oberoi baggage in my head. So one fine day, I was walking into a lobby and I'd spent a lot of money sprucing up and tidying up a lobby. This was a 3-star hotel, right at the airport. And there was a guy in the lobby in police uniform eating out of a paper plate, cake or whatever that was not from the hotel. So I said to him, "Excuse me, but where do you get this from?" He said, "My boss gave it to me. It's from outside." I said, "Then go out and eat it." And next 10 minutes I was in jail. Because his boss, who was a member of parliament, sitting right there in the restaurant, said, "Boss man, this white man, take the bread away from the black man." So you learn from those sorts of things. And so I think Liberia taught me lots in terms of how to handle things in Africa. And it's paid back. We are now operating in Africa. I understand the region much better than I would otherwise have done. We lived there for a good 3+ years.
So how many hotels in Africa?
At the moment, we have 3. We have the best hotel in the country in Zambia, in Lusaka, in the capital city. We are better than and ahead of Intercontinental, Radisson Blu, Hilton, etc., etc., etc. We are far, far, far ahead. We have 2 in Nairobi. We have another property opening up in Somaliland, in Hargeisa in Somaliland, another place in the middle of the desert. But very interesting with a port and a fantastic hotel that should open in the next 3 or 6 months. We have a project in Kampala in Uganda. We have a large project in Ethiopia in a place called Aksum, which has been held up because of civil war there. But we expect more to happen in Africa.
Africa, I think, is one of the most beautiful continents in the world. Not the most...
It's very special, and it's 54 countries, one different from the other. So from point of view of safety, from point of view of people, from point of view of tribal cultures, everything changes one place to the other.
So in Africa, you have like a separate... you have a separate setup. What are your growth plans for Africa?
So far, we don't. We manage Africa out of India, and it's that much more difficult because you have to convince somebody sitting thousands of miles away saying, I'm a good guy and I'll run a hotel from Bombay or Delhi and send you good people. But it worked for us for quite some time. The moment we get to 5 hotels, we want to first of all set up a tiny office in one of the cities in Africa that we operate in. And then build a small sales team around it so we can add more value to the hotels.
So how have things changed after Louvre?
The largest benefit of Louvre is a company with stronger technology. We are on their global distribution system, and we spent 2 or 3 years getting there, but we worked on a system where my IDS PMS connects to the mainframe in Paris at no cost to an owner here. So I think that's fantastic. So we are on the GDS, which means we're on the Lanyon and the RFPs. We have a highly advanced central reservation system, which works same as an airline. Seat, you book a room, and it's live across all channels. And that's something that's developing more and more. So I think from point of view of technology exchange and technology upgrade, that's the single largest benefit.
What's so nice about working with Louvre?
Anyone that you work with that's coming into the company as an investor, comfort level needs to be good. And what is so special about Louvre? From day one, they told us, we are not here to tell you how to run hotels in India. You understand that business much better than we do. We don't want to send people from Europe to tell you how you should be running your hotels. But we will always work to a forward plan. We look at top lines and bottom lines and try and help you and guide you as best as we can. So that's the way the relationship has been nurtured and has developed from both sides. We have an extremely positive relationship.
And has it become more bureaucratic after them coming in or not at all?
Not at all.
That's wonderful to hear because...
We look at numbers. We plan a lot more than we did in the past. We look at numbers more consciously. Other than the 2 years of COVID or part of those 2 years, we never failed a single quarter.
So one thing which I really, really admire about you is the longevity of the leadership. Whether it's Mr. Adil, whether it was... And you had some great people come out of the company. Like Shiv was heading our company. Today we have Alam who worked with you for almost 17 odd years. I want to know that how do you manage to create that culture and the way owners and team members speak of Sarovar in India. I am saying this with all sense of responsibility. I don't think that they speak of any other brands. So why is that?
These were excellent people, by the way. Strong managerial resources, both Shivmihan and Alam. We have always had a culture from day one where people can say what they have to say without thinking twice about it. Mr. Madhok promoted it, I promoted it, And Mr. Madhok said to me on day one, Ajay, we want no politics in this company, and always remember politics starts from the top. He said, a fish starts stinking from the head. Make sure we keep our head clean and let people say what they have to say. It's not, I wouldn't say it's purely democratic. End of the day, somebody has to take a decision, but people should feel comfortable. They feel comfortable in their place of work. If they have personal issues, we're always there to help and support and make sure they have enough time off to attend to those issues. And I think as much as is possible, we treat these people as family. It's easier said than done. So that's what keeps it going. People feel comfortable walking into the office. People feel good in the morning when they wake up saying, oh, I'm going to work.
I've heard this without naming people that whenever they ask for something, you would send them help from even your personal account, but you would never say no.
Well, these are the boys and girls who run our company. Yeah. So if we don't take care of them, how will things happen? Somebody talked to me very recently. I was sitting with Andreas, one of our directors on the board from Louvre, and we were discussing a particular person. And he said to me, Ajay, loyalty has to be two-way. It can't be a one-way street. So if somebody's worked with you for so many years, we've got to make sure that we take care of him, even when it comes to his sunset and his retirement, etc., etc. So I think that's very, very true. Organizations cannot work without people. If people are giving so much, organizations need to give a little at least.
So 3 things which you feel, since I think you're the most successful management company in the mid-market in the country by miles, 3 things which a management company must do, because there are so many companies which are starting out, and 3 things which you think they must not do.
The must do is protect your brand. In the urge and urgency and desire to grow, you sometimes go ahead and sign hotels that you should probably refrain from doing. So don't do anything that damages your brand. And even if you made a mistake, or if there's a property or a relationship that's hurting the brand name, one should disassociate as quickly as is possible. So the brand is paramount. The brand comes over and above everyone else. 2 is do not overpromise. We make that mistake when we're signing deals. And I keep saying to owners, and I keep saying to my own teams, do not overpromise. And a lot of the time owners come and say, but so-and-so is off saying he'll do so much. I say, look, nobody's guaranteeing you money in the bank. We're only talking right now. And if you believe him, good luck to you. But do not overpromise. That leads you into bigger problems down the line. Always have a forward plan for at least the next 3 years. Things you should not do, to my mind, as a manager particularly, never pretend you know if you don't know something. If you don't know, say, I don't know. Even better, say to the person, hey, can you teach me? Even today I call my corporate engineer. I don't understand a lot of things that he does, and say, can you explain to me? And no harm done. Too many people in our business pretend to know it all, and that's a disaster. 2, be empathetic, understand your people, listen to them. Must. I think a lot of the time, the supervision part of it in managers is more super than vision. And people believe that they're above everyone else, so that they forget to listen to what's happening around them. So that's a key. I think it'll all be really people-centered all the time. Don't forget that the people are running the company.
This is great, because I think 40, 50 small companies have come up, which will obviously strive to become like Sarovar one day. Are you going to be licensing the Sarovar brand to third-party management companies, or are you going to be managing?
No, we won't. And when you say a lot of companies have come up and succeeded and perhaps not succeeded, one thing we were very conscious of, and Mr. Madhok was even more careful of. He said to me, Ajay, don't do anything which will take us backwards. We have people who depend upon us for their livelihoods. We are not taking a chance with the company. So we had opportunities. I remember we had opportunities in Iraq. There were people that would arrange hotels for you. The government was giving out hotels, and there were different arrangements on fees, etc. So when he came to know through Chorus, he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Iraq." And he said, "But Ajay, who's going to go to Iraq?" And I said, "I will." He said, "I forbid you to go to Iraq in the current situation." He said, "I'm not traveling to Iraq. And if me and you don't think it's safe enough to go, then we can't send any of our people." And he always said, "Look, go slow, don't jump, and look before you leap. And it's okay if we take another year or 2 or 3 or 5 getting where we want to get, but don't do anything that's going to take us backwards."
Would you say Mr. Madhok was your mentor?
Yes, absolutely. Mentor, teacher, guru, friend. Even today, he sort of sits with me when I'm taking my decisions.
Any learnings from your time at Oberoi which you would like to share? Any anecdote?
I think my big learnings from Rai Bahadur, and he was phenomenal. I spent very little time with him. I was a young GM, but the time I did spend with him, and it was more at his farm. So every time I came to Delhi, I asked for an appointment, and I met with him. He was prepared for the meeting more than I was. He knew what was happening in my hotel. He knew what was the P&L was all about. He understood things. And if I explained a very complex problem, what I thought as a young GM was a complex problem to him, he'd sort of give me an answer in one sentence, maximum two. The simplicity of the man was absolutely amazing. And you always felt taller when you walked out after meeting Rai Bahadur. I learned a lot from Mr. Biki. He was much more critical. He was in his creativity. I think he surpassed even his father and created some fantastic hotels. But on the people side, Rai Bahadur was above anyone in this business.
Any other anecdote? Because I think very few people have reached where you have and worked with him. So, any other anecdote which you would like to tell us about Mr. Rai Bahadur?
Rai Bahadur always focused on relationships very strongly. There was a phase when I was actually managing for the Oberois. And the owners were GVK Reddy in Hyderabad. Very beautiful hotel, his first hotel. And there were issues between the owner and the operator, as there are many a time. And when we discussed in the typical approach of any operator company is that we are right and they are wrong. And he said to me, Ajay, I think all of you are handling this wrong. If you were to treat the relationship well, and see what he is looking for and what he wants from the relationship, he will give you a second hotel if you manage it well. And unfortunately, the second hotel never came our way. It became first a Holiday Inn and then a Taj, and then everything went to Taj down the line. But his thinking was always so positive. And as a management company, I think the key is that you understand what the owner wants, what the owner expects, where the owner is hurting.
So, what is important to you other than work?
Today, my physical well-being, physical and mental well-being, my health takes precedence over my work. It's a bigger priority. So from 4 in the morning till 9 in the morning is my time. And I make sure I don't compromise on that, wherever I am, whatever I'm doing.
I'd like to go through 4 in the morning to 9 in the morning because you would definitely be the fittest hotelier in the industry.
4 to 9 in the morning is not necessarily what a lot of people would want to emulate and follow. I'm a lot older, so I can do these things and I have my time. But the first rule is don't look at any screen. The world doesn't change so much in a short span of time. And if really there is a fire somewhere, somebody will pick up the phone and call you. So no screens. I do my prayer, I do a lot of meditation, and then I spend an hour in either the gym or my bike or my yoga, etc. So an hour a day is sacrosanct. Read my papers in peace, spend a few minutes with my wife before I get going, and then so 8:45, 9 in the morning is when I sort of catch up on what's happening.
So what kind of meditation are you doing?
Chakra meditation. Are you familiar with meditation?
I practice Vipassana and Anapan.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. So
I have a spiritual guru called Om Swami in the Himalayas.
That's amazing. And how many kilometers are you cycling in a day?
Well, I had an accident 4 months ago, so at the moment I'm cycling only in the gym. But I hope to get back on the bike in the next 2 months or so. I was doing 100 kilometers every Sunday.
That's crazy.
Sunday mornings.
What about your diet?
It's crazy and it's kind of off track. But the basics are no sugar, low carbs and no carbs in the night, moderate alcohol if you drink, and sleep on time, get up on time. Sleep is important.
So what time are you sleeping?
9:30, 10 latest.
And what, 8 hours? Yeah, 7 hours.
6.5 hours, yeah. That's enough. 7. Then I catch up on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday or holidays. I get an hour or two in the afternoon.
So Sarovar is 5 days a week?
Sarovar is more 6, 5.5. Yeah, but a lot of it happens on the telephone. A lot of it happens on the internet. A lot of it happens on the phone calls for us.
I think the corporate office is working throughout the week, whether it's 5 days or 6 days, because there's a fire somewhere at some point of time. So, other than this, what do you enjoy doing? Do you enjoy traveling? What kind of, other than fitness?
I love travel, but my formula for travel is if you work 11 months, you really enjoy that 12 months of travel. If I was to stop working and people said to me, go wherever you want to go in the world, it would lose all its charm.
So your favorite country in the world?
Favorite country, Australia. Favorite city, Paris.
So do you go to Paris often?
As much as I would like to, but yeah, once a couple of years probably.
The competitor brand, you admire most?
Competitive brand that I admire most, for sure, Lemon Tree.
And why is that?
I think they've got some smart thinkers there. And they've grown. End of the day, the proof of the pudding is in the pie. They have increased the pie.
So how did you stumble upon your first investment, you and Mr. Madhok?
People reached out to us. We had no intentions of looking around for investments. We didn't need the money. We were okay as a company. We had no debts and we were cash positive. But two companies, New Vernon and Bessemer, reached out to Mr. Madhok and said we'd want to invest in your company. So that's how it started off. That's the first time we had some kind of evaluation. We'll pay you X for so much. So we knew the company was worth a certain amount of money.
How did this happen? When did this happen? If you can...
I would think it was somewhere in the year 2009, 2010. We were still a small company relative to what we are today. In perspective, it took us 16 years to get from one hotel to 24 hotels. In this one calendar year, 2024, we've opened 20 hotels. Before the end of the year, we'll open 24 hotels. So the growth is much larger and much more brisk at the moment. But those times we were small. And they lived with us. Good times happened, bad times happened. The banking collapse happened in the US. Things went down in India, but they said, look, we have trust in you. We'll stay on.
So the hospitality leader currently alive, who you admire most or you'd like to...
We'll come back to that. Give me a couple of minutes to think about it. Let's carry on. I'll come back to that. Somebody I admire the most. I think of all the people in the business at the moment, my hero would be Puneet Chhatwal, with what he's done to Taj.
And is it the growth?
Absolutely. It's growth, it's transformation of an old company with an old board, with very strong likes and dislikes, with very clear roles cut out for you, and all of a sudden somebody comes along and not just changes, but changes everything dramatically, grows dramatically, converts the company into a zero debt company, the share value is trading high. I think fascinating.
I have the greatest admiration for him as well, because I truly believe that transforming an old company, especially like IHCL, which doesn't have the culture of hiring and firing, is way tougher than...
And you're a stranger.
Yeah.
Where, for the first few months, everybody is out looking at, chinks in the armor.
Let us say I am a hospitality professional today, starting out my journey. Could be as a trainee, could be as a HOMT, could be from OCLD. And 15 years down the line, I want to get to where you are. What do you think I should keep in mind? Should I be shifting departments? How do you think I should lead my next 15 years?
I think the key is to set realistic goals. And you must have a goal for, if you're just starting off, have a goal, let's say just for 2 years. Don't go into 5 or 10 or 20. Say in 2 years' time, this is where I want to get. Break that down into quarters. And every quarter, see what's going on. You have only so much control in what departments you can go to and where all you can go to and where all you can work. But my advice is be mobile. If you're willing to go anywhere, your chances of growth are far, far, far greater. Absorb, learn, listen to people, and always raise your hand and say, I'll do this. Because we don't have too many people saying, I'll do beyond what is expected of me. And the thing is to say, okay, you got a problem there? Don't worry, I'll handle it. I'll find the time. It allows you to learn, it allows you to grow faster, and people always notice what you're doing. Third thing is, be sincere, pour your heart into it, and if at some stage you don't like the business, get out of it as quickly as possible.
So, the sales setup, the RSO setup, it's been talked about again and again in the industry, but for the viewers, how is Sarovar structured the sales setup, and why is it so robust and strong compared to any other brand?
We very doggedly continued with the fact that if people walk into people's offices, they will always get business. And while most companies moved on to technology and more technology and reduced their people workforce, we kept on increasing our people workforce.
So how many sales offices? You were mentioning 16 sales offices in India. And how many people in those offices?
Between 55 and 60 all put together.
So what kind of technology do you use to make sure that it's working efficiently?
We have a CRS system. We have targets broken down into months. We have targets broken down into hotels. We have targets per person. And most times things work. If they don't, we look at changing things.
So your favorite Sarovar hotel in India?
Hotel Marine Plaza on Marine Drive in Mumbai.
Your favorite hotel in India?
My favorite hotel in India? Uday Vilas Udaipur.
What is it that you love about it?
The architecture. Unbelievable.
It is an absolute stunning. So now 9,000 rooms. 3 years, you're looking at a 2 or 3 year plan. How long do you set your plan for?
We look at a 5-year plan.
5-year plan, sir. So where do we see Sarovar in 2029?
We have a target to double everything that we're doing today, our revenues and our bottom lines, in 5 years. We think we're going to achieve it in 4 years.
So you're looking at 18,000?
300 hotels, 20,000 rooms.
Where do you see yourself after 5 years, sir?
As long as I'm enjoying myself, as long as my company will have me, I would continue working.
I think it's going to be your choice. So how do you?
I think it's always a dual choice, and as long as people down the line don't think I'm overstretching myself, so I think I still have contributions to make. I think there's tremendous growth in the country, but it will be more and more strategic and less day to day. In fact, day to day is largely handled today by Jatin, Khanna, our Chief Executive Officer.
So tell us how is the company structured and what changes had Jatin brought in, because he's coming from a completely different culture of Marriott.
That was our aim. You see, as a management company, we always needed somebody very strong in hotel operations because our backbone is management. And he came in from a background that was strong on systems and processes. He brought about a lot of changes in structure. He brought about a lot of changes in the way we should be building our brands. He brought about a lot of changes in HR with new systems, new processes, new people, new teams. And he's a good thinker. He's a good planner. He's a good man on the ground. So we strengthened in many, many ways. We're doing things that we would perhaps not have done without that addition.
Can you give us an example?
Our HR is totally restructured. We were very weak in that area, from finding people to taking care of our people. It's completely and totally restructured. We brought in a senior person there again from outside. He brought in a revenue management team. We did not have we had revenue management in some form. Alam was heading it, but we now have 6 people on revenue management. I think they're younger. They're more focused on what today wants, and we're tracking all our hotels that much more closely. So that brings us into getting more business or better rates for the same rooms in our company, and I think owners appreciate that more than anything else.
That's amazing how he sort of just come into the company and fit into the culture. So do we see Sarovar owning more hotels as we go forward?
No, that's never been our formula. Our focus would be management. We are building Chennai. It's a 125 crore project. We are debt free at the company. And we believe we can finish the hotel without debt. So I think that's special. But we are not into building assets.
So do we see you listing?
Not in the near future. We have no immediate plans. We don't need the money, so why would you go and list? Listing has to have a purpose. We don't have debts to repay, and we're not sort of really looking at big money to do something special with. So I think we'll continue doing more of what we're doing. I'm sure there'll be some new things or some different things that happen as we go along. But we'll take it one step at a time.
I think Louvre is strategic, so I don't think that they'll also be looking at a exit given the... So how's Louvre structured? How big is the entire group?
Louvre is about 1,800 odd hotels. And they have several brands under the Golden Tulip or the Louvre portfolio, Golden Tulip being the leading brand. And now they have Sarovar as a prime brand in India and in this region. They are looking at strengthening the brand. They're looking at perhaps walking away from the weaker hotels. They're looking at lots of renovations. They own a significant number of the hotels. There's owned and leased and managed and franchised. So they have a much larger portfolio. And I think they will grow both in terms of technology and in terms of numbers as time goes on. We are looking at relaunching. We've already started relaunching the Golden Tulip brand in India. It had not lived up to its potential. And I think another 5 years from now, it will be a very strong brand in that mid-market space.
Out of your portfolio, sir, how is it structured in terms of brands?
We have Sarovar Premier, Sarovar Portico, and Hometel as a pure true blue Sarovar brands. We have Golden Tulip and Royal Tulip above that, and Tulip Inn and Tulip Residences. In the GT portfolio, we manage, I think, between 10 and 12 hotels for the Radisson Hotel Groups. We've done that historically. So we built the brands Park Plaza and Park Inn in India. Well before Carlson came on the picture. It was another company altogether. And we continue to manage some of those. We manage a Radisson in Mumbai. We manage a Radisson in Hyderabad. We manage a Radisson Blue in Bengaluru. All these are old Sarovar relationships.
Nikhil was mentioning that 7% of Radisson is third-party managed. That must be you.
I think we are probably the largest management partners. Yeah.
And because I think the company is owned by the same parent, both the companies.
Mm-hmm.
So is the relationship at an arm's length in terms of the management of Sarovar?
I think we were two very different companies with very different cultures. In some cases, we compete with each other. So it's a friendly relationship, a collaborative relationship. But again, we are building our own companies, both of us, in parallel.
So which brand has the maximum inventory and which brand gives you the maximum juice?
Sarovar Portico, I think between 70 and 75 or 125 are Porticos. It's our mega brand. It's a big brand in India. And a lot of people recognize us as Sarovar Portico rather than Sarovar.
What percentage of your business comes direct?
Directly as in?
Through the website.
Website is small. GDS produces a lot. OTS produces a lot. And Sarovar offline produces a lot. Websites is not such a lot at the moment. We are still working on technology in that area. We're still working on a loyalty program that will encompass not just us, but also the Louvre framework and maybe beyond that. But that's about a year or two away still.
So I heard that you're building something in Nimrana. Is that true?
That's Ajay Bakaya, not Sarovar Hotels. I'm hoping to. I've been working on project approvals or land use conversion approvals for the last 4 to 5 years, and I hope I'm getting closer now. But yes, it's my swan song. I want to do something special.
So this is about you. So tell us what you want to do there.
100, 110 key, very nice, 4 to 5 star resort. Good for wedding buyouts, good for offsites, good for weekends, and something a little special both in terms of architecture, in terms of design, in terms of operations.
So what kind of design are you looking at? Something more heritage, more
architecturally very ethnic. Interior is very modern.
So, sir, when do we see that? 5 years, 4 years?
I haven't got my CLU yet. So from the moment I get my CLU, 3 years. From the moment I start digging, 2.5 years.
So that's going to be like a passion.
Absolutely. A lot of people, I know a lot of people I've worked with, a lot of people within my family also have told me I'm a little crazy, but I want to go ahead and do it anyway.
I think it's a beautiful sort of. It's 2.5
something for passion.
Yeah, and it's 2.5 hours from Delhi. You can never go wrong.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, you can never possibly go wrong.
Yeah. So, other than that, so let's say, would you consider this the most exciting decade of your life?
Not at all. I think every decade's been exciting. I think the most exciting decade in your life is when you're 20 and 30 or when you're 16. That's when everything is going great guns for you. So I wouldn't say so, but I think this is probably it's difficult to predict in India, but probably the strongest decade in terms of economic activity that this country is going to see.
What would you want to be known for, and how would you want people to remember you?
I saw an interview of Lee Kuan Yew, who really built Singapore from nothing. And it was CNN or somebody, and the interviewer asked him, how would you like to be remembered? And he said, I'm not, it's too presumptuous of me to think that I'm going to be remembered at all. So I have the same sense of humility. But if people think of me, I'd like to be remembered as somebody who contributed and who was sincere to the job, to the industry, and who loved his profession. Nothing beyond that. I don't think I'm so super special.
And what would you want your legacy to be seen as?
I don't think I leave behind a legacy. I think people would just want to remember you as a guy who knew his business well and who was a decent guy. I think that's good enough.
So anything you would want to tell the entrepreneur starting out in, do you see any white spaces in the hospitality industry where you think that sort of the budget, mid-market economy, where do you see the growth happening over the next 10 years, the maximum growth? Because this year, as you know, it's plateauing.
So when I was talking about Nimrana to an Irish friend of mine, we sort of studied together in France, and I said to him, I'm doing this, and he said to me, 3 questions. Is there a market for your business? The answer is right. The 1 out of 3 right. Secondly, do you have the competence to do it? Number 2. Number 3, what is it that you're going to do that's going to make you the best in the world? 1 thing. And if you have 3 answers, go and do the project. If you have a problem with number 1 and number 2, don't go beyond that at all. You must have the competence, you must have the market. Where is the growth going to be? A lot more in the mid-market than anywhere else, because there's many more people aspiring to the next step and the next step and the next step. And the mid-market is that much more resilient to the downs in the business. Also, it takes that much more money to put up luxury projects with our cost of land, etc. So I think mid-market is going to boom beyond anything else. Plus, the smaller towns, the smaller religious centers, smaller places of interest, smaller IT centers, IT hubs, will all need mid-market hotels and value for money hotels.
The meeting that changed your life?
Meeting that changed my life, chasing my wife.
So how did you manage to woo her?
I met her in the U Special. In the good old days, we had these buses that took you from all parts of Delhi into college.
So did she say yes, or was it a long chase?
Well, we've been together now for almost 50 years, so yes, she said yes.
Because I was speaking
for better or for worse for her.
I was speaking to Mr. Dimitri before this, and he was mentioning that he had to propose that 9 times for her to say yes.
Well, it was easier for us. We were very young at that time.
So that's nice to know. So another thing which I wanted to know was that other than hospitality, like you spoke of Lee Kuan Yew, he has a great influence in my life, and I've read a few of his books. The person you admire most outside of hospitality, and why? And the follow-up would be that the book which you feel that everyone should read.
Going from with people first, Ratan Tata. I learned a lot from Dean Robert Beck. He was Dean at Cornell for 20 years, and he set up our school in Paris, where we studied. He was there himself for the first year and more. And his mantra in a single sentence, and I remember that till I die, was always take your work seriously, never take life too seriously. Barack Obama, there's so many people from Rafael Nadal, closer to truth. I like people who are able to put in the work, put in the discipline, and succeed not by virtue of talent that they're born with, but just by simple effort and effort and effort and effort.
So why Ratan Tata?
Phenomenal human being. Business has to have a philosophy. Business philosophy cannot be just making money. Yes, we are obliged to make money for our businesses. That's the role. But business must have a philosophy, and his philosophy embraced human values in a big way.
So would you say that would be the greatest value of Sarovar Hotels as well?
I would say so, yes. Good people. Good people, straight people. We're not the best paymasters in the business. We're better today than what we were 20 years ago or when we started off. But we were always straight with our people. And we're always open and transparent with our people. Despite that, you retain all the talent. We retain a large chunk, yeah. It's important. I think if people feel comfortable where they are, and you listen to them, it goes a long, long way. So the book which you would want all of us to read? Something I read probably 20, 30 years ago when I was really down in the dumps for whatever reason. It's a book called Your Erroneous Zones by Dr. something, I forget the name now, it'll come to me, which just talks about behavior and life and how to handle it. Another book is a book that is very difficult to get. I was trying to get it for my bunch of management trainees now. It's a book, it's a biography on a gentleman called Ellsworth Milton Statler. Statler built Statler Inns. He did everything in this industry that people could ever have dreamt of. And that he started working at the age of 6. He was shoveling coal 2 floors below the ground in an industrial scenario. Got into being a maître d' somewhere, picked up a lot of things, traded on the stock market, built hotels, built money, built them, lost them, built his first 1,000-room hotel, all that kind of stuff. So Statler Hall in Cornell is named after him. And he did everything that modern hotels are all about. And Hilton, Statler then evolved into Hilton Hotels World Sports, now the big company. But phenomenal story.
It sounds...
Ellsworth Milton Statler.
So, sir, how important do you think is grind and persistence? Because, people today are talking about work-life balance and they're talking about, because in hospitality, you must be traveling, 10, 15 days in a month even now?
Yes, I do that even now. I do that in the country, outside of the country. So I wouldn't expect everyone to do that, but I think work-life balance is thrown around a little too much. If you work, you have a life. That I think is very simple. If you have to work to enjoy the work-life balance. If somebody says to me tomorrow we'll send you a paycheck, sit at home and do nothing, to me that's no fun. I've never enjoyed. So I think the people who are starting off today must understand work-life balance. Yes, there is a sense to it. I think, and I tell my people all the time, at a certain time in the evening you must switch off. And if somebody calls you, it doesn't matter who calls you. You need to convey to them that you don't take calls beyond 8 o'clock in the night or 9 o'clock in the night, unless things are falling apart. It's normal. I expect people to not think of work on the Sundays. I don't think of work on Sundays. I have a switch in my head. When I leave office and come home, I switch it off and I switch it on. You must be able to enjoy both things. But when you're building a career, work has to be paramount. That's my thought process. And if you're going to build companies, if you're going to build a nation, we need a lot of people working, not thinking of balance. So there is no balance.
So you would say you would agree with what Narayan Murthy would say or someone else?
Without going to an extreme, I think people are entitled to the time off, and I think 70 hours, 72 hour working weeks are not practical. But I think to a point, yes, people must have their personal time. They must not be disturbed in their personal time. I'll give you a good example on this. When I started with the Oberois, my first assignment was banquet manager in Bombay. We had 14 halls, we had a dozen functions a day, and nobody had a clue what was going on. It took me 3 months to even figure out hotel mein what is where. I worked for 6 months, from 9 in the morning to midnight, every day 6 months. I didn't think of half days. If I did, I forgot about it very quickly. Nobody talked about it. After 6 months, my boss said to me, by the way, Ajay, tomorrow is not so busy. Take half a day off. Now, those are times now. Then, if you ask for leave, the hell would break loose. Why leave? This, that, whatever. And I had a boss who told me, Pagal hai, leave pe jayega, paise kharchega. Don't ever go on leave. There were good court martials before you people allowed to take leave. When both my kids were born, I was not there. I was somewhere else, and but you took it in your stride. And when I started off in Sarovar, I have not in the last 29 years refused leave to any single individual. Nor have I told people down the line to cancel leaves or don't, because calamities will always happen, emergencies will always happen. As long as there's somebody else filling in, it's okay. Life goes on. So I think we've got to think differently too. What worked with us 10, 20, 30 years ago doesn't work anymore. And we must realize that. So people are entitled to the time off, but anyone who's building a career, building a life, and is part of building a company and building a nation must work.
Just one last thing I'd like you to just tell us a little bit about your institutional catering business.
I was on our hotel in Chennai. I think it was a Friday or a Saturday, and I got a call from Mr. Madhok. An old Oberoi colleague had called Mr. Madhok and said there is an institute coming up in Hyderabad. They want hotels to bid. Why don't you guys go and talk to them? So Mr. Madhok called me and said, Ajay, can you go there? And it was probably a Sunday or a Saturday, whatever. And I said, sure. So I went from there. I had no clue what this is all about. And I said to Mr. Madhok, but what do we know about business schools or schools at all? And he said, well, go and talk to them. And that worked out for us. It worked out. We signed a contract. And we had to amend because they didn't know what they were getting into. This is the Indian School of Business in Hyderabad. We had no idea what we were getting into. And we were lucky because they had approached people like the very, very big hotel companies who were all saying, okay, so much for breakfast, so much for lunch, so much for dinner, da-da-da. And so we evolved. And from there, we built the company. Today, we have 15 odd contracts. We have 6 plus IIMs. We have some IITs. We have both the ISBs. We have a luxury train down in Bangalore. We have a corporate complex in Mumbai, and there's more happening now. We've tied up with the bank to do things. So again, one step at a time. We don't work on very, very fine, wafer thin margins. We believe that we must have some space to make money and to make mistakes. So we are profitable at the end of the day. But it's not the same as the hotel business. And we've now built a separate division on that altogether.
What percentage of the total business would this be?
I won't tell you.
But it would be a large percentage?
It's significant.
Significant.
Yeah.
That's amazing, because I think you are the only probably mid-market chain.
We're the only hotel company into this business.
Taj, Oberoi, no one's...
It doesn't match a typical hotel business model.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time. It's been an absolute privilege.
Thank you very much.
It's been an absolute privilege to have you on this.
Delighted and honored.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.